So first of all, I'm not so sure that I agree with your diagnosis that it is everywhere. AI exists in lots of things, but even relatively information technology heavy things like what we're doing right now doesn't use a lot of AI. There is a bit of filtering going on so that we look prettier in the pictures. And there is, of course, a software that prevents, let's say, my own sound to be played through your speakers and then back into the microphone and then back to me, because that would result in problems. There is stuff like that. But what we're doing right now is pretty much conventional information technology, not AI. There isn't that much AI in everyday life. And especially, you mentioned motor skills, especially robotics, that is physical devices that actually exert physical force on the environment, are actually quite unusual. I would say most people probably haven't seen a robot in their lives yet, except on TV, but, an actual live robot. There are some, I guess, autonomous driving aspects of current cars, which you could call robotic. I think that's pushing the notion a little bit hard, but industrial robots, for example, are very specialized and are in special environments, and you don't really see them unless you go to very specialized factories. Humanoid robots are basically used in research. So there's not that much robotics around, and robotics is also different from AI. Some robotics uses AI and some doesn't. But you mentioned skills. There is, generally speaking, a phenomenon known as de-skilling. That is, that you lose your skills when a machine does something for you. And that's a well-known phenomenon that I think most of us have experienced in one way or another, that you lose a particular skill if you have some kind of automated mechanical system that does it for you. This is in the case of flying. This is known as the autopilot problem. So you want to make sure that pilots actually have enough flying time when they are actually controlling the flight, because otherwise they just become sort of passive viewers of what the autopilot does, and they lose their skills. So I think that's not happening on a big scale in AI yet. But it is likely to happen in certain areas. I think that's pretty clear. Another thing that happens, of course, is that certain skills will not be useful anymore if you have a mechanical way of doing that thing. Right? That's something we've seen in many, many areas already, but I don't know, that would be the ceramics, pots and pans and so on that we use nowadays are almost always made by machines, right? So there used to be people to do those, and there was a skill associated with making these things. That skill still exists, but there are way fewer people who can do those things now than with clay and so on than there used to be, because it's industrial production and they're not needed anymore.